Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Link Podcast with me, Elle. If you are studying English, remember that you can study this podcast episode as a lesson on Link. I've added the transcript and the audio and created a lesson just for you. You can find the link to it in the description. If you have never used Link before, it is an excellent way to study a language. You can study from anything you're interested in. So take an Italian blog post or a Russian news article, Japanese movie, whatever it is, you can create a lesson with it on Link, work through the words and phrases that you don't know, creating your own personal database. It's a fantastic way to learn from content you're actually interested in and make a breakthrough in your target language. Speaking of making a breakthrough, if you would like to challenge yourself, we have a challenges page on Link in many different languages. So I've also popped the link to that page in the description. I'm actually starting a French 90-day challenge this September. So I will be challenging myself to reach targets each day. And actually my goal is to read a novel in French for the first time over the 90 days. So join me if you want to level up in your target language. Doesn't have to be French, be whichever language you're studying. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, wherever, please show us some love. Give us a like, a share, a follow. We really, really appreciate it. This week, I am joined by someone a little different. You guys are used to me interviewing YouTubers, and this week's guest is a YouTuber, but he's also a professional soccer player. This week, I am joined by professional soccer player, YouTuber, and polyglot, Will John. Will, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. It's always good to be back and talk about languages, so I'm excited.
Great. And whereabouts in the world are you joining us from today?
I am in Croatia, so I'm in Zagreb, Croatia. Obviously, originally from the U.S., but I play football over here in Zagreb.
Excellent. Okay, and it's your evening in Zagreb.
It is evening. Correct. It is 7:15 in the evening. It is a nice, chill afternoon here.
Lovely. That's a part of the world I really need to get to, Croatia.
You haven't been here.
I will one day. So you're playing soccer there? Is that what you...
Yeah, you keep calling it soccer, and with that accent, it just doesn't sound right. It's got to be football.
I'm trying. Right. I know. I was going to say in the beginning, soccer or football, and I have the impulse to say football, but yes, yeah, of course.
No,
I've
played outside of the U.S. You know, I played in the MLS, and I grew up playing soccer in the U.S., but since then, playing outside of Europe, I've gotten used to calling it football. And in my house, my dad is from Nigeria, and we would call it football. You float in between. It's not a big deal, but yeah, it's football to me now. After all these years.
Okay. Oh, so you say football yourself. Okay. So
Totally.
I'm going to say football from now on.
Yeah.
It feels right. I feel strange saying soccer, honestly. So good. Based in Croatia now for the next little while. Do you know how long you'll be there
so
for?
At least, the season is just starting. Seasons in Europe, most of them start in August and they'll end in May or June. So we'll have a break there in the winter. And because of COVID, I have not been back to the U.S. This is the longest I've been outside of the U.S. Normally, in between my seasons, I will go back at least for a little break. Yeah. But it's been almost 2 years. I think it'll be 2 years.
Oh.
Wow. Yeah, it's just one of those things. So I'm enjoying it. I feel very comfortable outside. As a professional footballer, you spend a few time. I spent a large part of my career in Scandinavia. The other large chunk in Serbia and in Croatia. This is my second stint in Zagreb, so I know this place very well. I speak the language, and it's a whole lot of fun.
Amazing. So it's just taking you all over the world at this soccer playing career. That's
totally.
Cool.
I think, and Steve and I probably talked about this in the last. I think I've been to 60 countries. I think so, but I need to make a count, and it's all because of soccer. I think there's only maybe 3 countries that were not, 3 or 4 that were not soccer related. So,
wow, you need to get one of those maps where you scratch off those foil scratch off countries you've been to.
I do.
I'll put a pin in there.
Yeah. I'll get to them all eventually.
Yeah. So let's talk about soccer before we kind of move into the languages. When did you know that I'm assuming it's from a really young age you realized you wanted to pursue soccer as a professional career?
That is a question I get a lot. And as a footballer, most guys don't have a moment, I've noticed. But I have a very specific story. Number one, my father was a professional footballer himself. So it was always part of my upbringing, but I never considered it. I had almost an insane epiphany one day when I don't remember to this date. I don't know why I wasn't in school, but I wasn't. I don't know if I was pretending to be sick because I wanted to watch the game or what the deal was. But someone scored a goal in the Champions League final. This is in the year 2000. Real Madrid versus Valencia, 1-0. I can remember everything about it. I just happened to be, at home. It was I shouldn't have been. And this guy scored a header. Fernando Morientes scored a header and went off on this crazy celebration. I mean, he ran from the goal like 70 yards back to his, bench to celebrate with his team. And I had the chills the entire time. And I've talked about this. I've told this story on one of our podcasts that we have. And it was then that I just knew I'm supposed to do this. That was when I knew I was supposed to do what I'm doing now. And that's pretty early. I think I was 15.
Okay.
Yeah. And so that's basically the moment that I knew. And then I left college early, which is hilariously another one of my funny stories on the podcast because I know exactly where I was sitting. And I know the moment where I said, I'm not going back to class. And in just a few months, I went pro. So that's my story.
Wow. A eureka moment.
Yeah.
So you were 15, and how is your goal celebration now? Do you do something wild and crazy because of that, or are you more subdued?
No. I guess I'm somewhat in between. It's the funny thing when you score goals. I've played at all sorts of different clubs in all different parts of the world. You play at clubs where there's 40 to 50,000 people, and then I've played at clubs where there's not a lot of fans at all. Like, and I say not a lot, just a few thousand, right? Or you have big stadiums but empty crowds and stuff like that. Right. And so your celebration, it's a lot of adrenaline. It's really hard to explain. It's strikers, and I'm not a true striker. They're adrenaline junkies, but scoring goals is like being an adrenaline junkie. You want that feeling over and over again, and the higher the stakes, the better it feels. If it's the last second of the game, you start chasing that stuff, and when you start to have success with it, it just is. So yeah. To answer your question, my celebrations depend on the moment. But they're not that subdued. I tend to have fun. I might do some dancing.
Good.
Nice.
No
Whatever.
backflips or anything.
Funny you should mention backflips. 2 years ago, I decided that I would learn how to do a backflip. It wasn't because for a celebration. Everybody then was like, "You got to do that as your celebration." Like that's your new celebration. I'm like, no, I just wanted to do a backflip. Cool. So yeah, I just went to a gym. I went to a place where the gymnasts, like a I don't know what you would call that, gymnastic setup, and they're like all these little girls and honestly, mainly little girls, but they have an open gym where the adults come in. And so before that, the little girls are in there. And they're doing like triple axe flip, back flip, flying through the air. You don't have no idea how they're doing it. They have no fear. And I'm like, okay, can I do this backflip? Like, I'm just like barely trying to do it like a little kid. So, yeah. Anyway, that's what's up.
And can you do a backflip?
I can.
Did you end up learning?
I can.
You can.
I learned
Amazing.
it in an hour. It's not that hard.
Ooh.
It's getting over your fear, like everything is a thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say, you learned it in an hour. I remember I kind of have done a backflip in high school. Did not take me an hour, and I was terrified. So I think you're definitely right. You need to just switch off, if you can, the fear that you're going to break your neck, because it really feels like you're going to break your neck. As soon as they come away, they're holding your back. And then as soon as they're not holding your back anymore, it's like, am I going to die?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. Okay, so you mentioned there that you said you're not a true striker. I don't know football, soccer, whatever you want to call it, at all, I have to admit. So what position do you play?
I'm an attacking midfielder, or what would be considered more a second striker. So for those of the people who aren't into soccer, Ibrahimovic is, if you know who that is, Zlatan Ibrahimovic, generally a fairly famous person. Or, all right, we'll go with Lionel Messi, who you hopefully have heard of.
Yes, I know Messi. I know who Messi is, yes.
Messi's not a true striker. He's a guy that plays a little underneath. He's quick, he's fast, he's really technical, he's really good with his feet. That's my style and position. I'm also left-footed.
Okay.
I like to run a little bit behind. We try to cause problems without being the main guy. Those big number 9 striker guys, they get a lot of the attention from the big defenders. I try to avoid those big tackles with those guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds wise. Does that mean you get less chance to score then, or how does that work?
It means I have to be more creative. I'm more involved in the build-up of the play. It means doesn't mean that I won't get a whole lot of chances to score. You do, but it's generally the guy who's your generally we call that number 9. He's the striker. That guy is always near the goal. That's your job.
Okay.
Just score goals. It's my job to provide and to score.
I see. Okay. So let's talk a little about the languages then. So as I mentioned in your intro there, maybe I didn't. You speak 8 languages, and you mentioned before we started recording that you're closing in on your 9th language. So first off, what are those languages? And I'm interested to know if you kind of as you moved around the world, did you collect these languages? Were there extras? So yeah, first off, what are the languages that you know?
So so I'll the easiest way for me to do this is chronologically, because I always forget when I try and tell people. My mom thought it would be a great idea for me to learn Spanish when I was very, very young. So I did not watch English cartoons when I would come back from school, and she also placed me into a Spanish tutor class for some few kids after school. So Spanish was pretty heavy when I was little, and I didn't even realize I could speak it. But by the time I was 13 or 14, my comprehension was excellent, and I took a liking to languages. Then came Italian and French. Both of those languages were collected without going to the countries. My Italian is great, and I have spent 4 or 5 days in Italy. So for those people out there that think they have to go there to learn, it's nonsense. You have more than enough resources now. Back then I had to go to the college library and find a TV that had RAI, their news thing, to listen to Italian. So that's Spanish, French, Italian. Those are those. Then German, which I've been to quite a bit, but I learned alone. Croatian, that's from here. Danish, because I played there in Denmark. Russian, because I played in Baku, Azerbaijan, and decided to learn Russian. And did I still forget one after all that? Spanish, French, Italian, German, Danish, Croatian, Russian, English, and right now that it's closing in on number 9 will be Swedish, because I spent most of my time during the pandemic in Sweden. Yeah.
Excellent. Swedish. I've heard that. I kind of dabbled a bit with Swedish too, but I heard it's generally easy to learn if you coming from an English background. How are you finding it?
Oh my gosh. After having learned Danish, it was pretty interesting. I moved to Sweden and started, when I was there, just for fun, I would speak Danish to people. They were not having it. They make so much fun of Danish. The pronunciation is very different. I mean, they make fun of each other a whole lot. But my vocab was great. And if you're an English speaker and you're wanting to learn a Scandinavian language, Swedish is pretty easy.
Okay. Excellent. With the languages, did you decide, in your teens or as a kid, that you wanted to be someone who spoke lots of languages, or did it just kind of happen as you moved around in your career?
I can say pretty comfortably this was by design, but I guess you could also say not, right? I didn't force that moment on myself when I was 15. That kind of put the wheels in motion. But when I was 16, I read The Count of Monte Cristo, I'm not sure if you're familiar with that book, but it's about a guy who more or less goes through some challenges, and to become the hero of the story, he has to overcome learning languages, understanding all sorts of math and physics, and being able to travel the world and doing all that stuff. And it had a very large impact on my youthful mind at 16. And so I thought, this is what I want. I want to be able to learn 10 languages. I said that I wanted 10, and I was 16 then. Wow. And so we are 20 years from that now, and I'm at 9. So I underestimated my ability. I think I'll be able to go past that. I have the desire to, but no, it was very much by design. The methods for getting it done, that was chaotic. Trying to figure out how to learn a language and what the best way is for you yourself, specifically, or that was the challenge.
Right. And what kind of methods have you landed on then? Have you honed the methods that you use and that you're now using for Swedish?
Yeah, which is funny enough that's what we're going to be getting into in our new YouTube channel, which is Goloremi Languages, because going through that was like I said, very tough. And so now, it's a combination of a lot of things that you guys do as well, because comprehension is incredibly useful. And one of the cool things about LingQ is finding information, I guess you could say, that's comprehensible at a level that you are, and that's also interesting. But at your level, when you're a beginner in a language, is so important and so hard, because it's really hard. Okay, if you're going to learn English, there's a lot of resources, admittedly. Spanish, yes. But for many of the other languages, you need to find something that you can read, that's comprehensible, that you can listen to, that you can understand immediately. The natural approach and learning things from, I believe his name's Stephen Krashen, is who came up with that. Understanding that is important, and TPRS, for the people that, teaching proficiency through storytelling, right? Through reading and storytelling.
Yep.
Those were huge boosts. I definitely, when I started German, I made the mistake of going the grammar route at first, thinking they said the grammar is tough in German. You got to understand it. And I said, okay, I'll understand it. Let me go and try and dive in. Yeah, disaster for the first, couple weeks. You almost want to give up, throw the books out the window. So it's very simple. Yeah. Now, I start off with very, very basic. I find the most basic of basic things to listen to and speak. And I enjoy writing as well. So when I write, all my notes are hardly in English. I break down, and I will break down a whole lot more of my method over there on Goloremi Languages.
Yeah, let's talk about the channel. So you have 2 channels. So the Will John channel is all about soccer skills, so you teach soccer skills, and now this new channel, Goloremi, is going to be focused on language learning.
Yeah. So what everybody who's checking this out can see, what we do is kind of this fun level up thing that a lot of polyglots are doing as well. So I will just go into the street and just start randomly talking to people, and it's always a whole lot of fun. So the first video out, you can just see me in the Mall of Scandinavia, actually in Sweden, just finding random people to talk to in different languages, and all the craziness that happens with that, and surprising foreigners, with that. Which is fun over here in this part of the world, as there's not a whole lot of black people that speak Russian or Croatian and these Eastern European languages, so it's always funny for them. But we have more than that channel. So the company we have a podcast channel as well. Excellent. Which is called The 11th Commandment, and we have all sorts of guests on, and that's where Steve actually was on as well. So yeah, we're busy.
Excellent. Sorry. So what can people who will go and subscribe to your language learning channel and the podcast, what can they expect for the next little while? What kind of content?
Okay, so we are going to do a whole lot more of, obviously, the level ups and doing a whole lot of surprise, but the idea will be to, and you'll see this in the channel intro, which is the video that's up there. there right now. The idea will be to give people a simple avenue into learning how the best polyglots have learned what they're doing, because that's one of the things that I fight and combat against on our soccer channel is that, of course, now that anybody can just make a video, you probably want to make sure you're getting at least from some people who can show. You wouldn't go to, don't come to me to learn Chinese because I don't speak Chinese. You really don't want to listen to me about that. I won't teach you Chinese, I promise you. So in that, it's our hope that we can have people like Steve on, and that we will do a lot of these, and I'll actually want to display a lot. So we will have subtitles for everything, of course, but it's always fun to see conversations in tons of different languages, always with English subtitles, and hopefully as we grow our community, we'll have plenty of other subtitles for people, but we'll have top 5 videos on best way to learn Spanish, the best way to learn X, Y, and Z language, and we'll do some of those interviews just in those languages, and we'll bring on different people like that in order to do that. And on the podcast channel, we bring on some of the most interesting people. I just got off now with a guy who was a former mercenary. Because of what's going on in Afghanistan, we thought it would be cool to have somebody on to speak about what's going on in the world and stuff like that. We've had on, all sorts of people from, obviously we have footballers on. Somebody like Steve, a former Canadian diplomat, is also cool to have on. They come from all walks of life. The idea is just to learn from people who are doing really, really cool things and talk to them about their stories and just hear interesting things.
Fantastic. Well, it sounds amazing. Super interesting. I especially love the whole, approaching people and speaking to them in their language, those types
Always
of videos.
Fun.
A lot of fun. Yeah. Listen, Will, thank you so much for joining me today. It was a great chat. And I'll pop the links to your 2 channels and to the podcast that you mentioned today in the description. So everyone go check them out for sure. Thank you so much for joining us, and have a great rest of your evening in Croatia, Zagreb.
I will. Thanks a lot. I will throw one more thing out there. All of the clips for languages are also on TikTok. So that's just Gullarami. Yeah. Okay. So they're all the Gullarami languages and all that stuff. It's all on TikTok as well. If you're a bite-sized social media type person who can only pay attention for 30 seconds, TikTok's your friend.
Yeah. And all you TikTok teens out there. I feel like I'm too old for the whole TikTok thing.
I know.
I can't.
Yeah.
Okay. Cheers, Will. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Bye.
See ya.